What's up, everyone? NiftyThirtyDennis podcast, live from SmileCon. And I just want to let everyone know that we actually planned our outfits.
We did.
So we got Gary Harker.
That's right.
Descendant of the great Mina Harker from Dracula. Right?
Descendant of Jonathan Harker, Dracula himself. Yep.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. So,
Pennsylvania.
So look, I mean, we got you on because legally minded, right? Yep. Now, before we go any further, why should dentists, dental practice owners, any kind of business owner, any professional, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Why should they know about Legal Man? Why should they be working with you guys?
You know, I think the biggest thing is it's like a delusion that I have an LLC or I have a corporation, so I'm protected. Like, I don't really need anything else.
Yeah.
And I mean, just like when they set up their first dental practice and they say, hey, you need to create a PLLC and you need to make sure that your business is outside of your building is outside of your business in different entities. That's like 101 stuff. Yeah. And so the most dentists even professionals that I work with, they've learned that and now they think they're good. It's like, sweet, I'm halfway there. And like Bon Jovi says, just living on a prayer, you know.
I love it. So what are some of those blind spots? What are those blind spots that you guys kind of fill in and to protect us? Because again, at the end of the day, look, you're working really hard in your dental practice. You're doing good. You're doing all the right things. But sometimes bad things happen to good people. Yeah,
dude, some of the closest people that I know that are most genuine people are blindsided, completely blindsided. These are coming from all different areas of life. And so I think the biggest misunderstanding is that they think they can control lawsuits. You can't. Yeah. Like, you cannot control a lawsuit for the life of you as much as you want to. As good of a person as you are, if you have to terminate somebody, they're always going to think that it was wrongful termination, right? And so you follow all the protocols and all the paperwork, and sometimes you don't, right? So there's that part. But I think the biggest thing that they don't recognize is your liability as a individual is higher than it as a professional.
Wow.
I mean, if you get in a car accident, what is your malpractice going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
If someone slips and falls inside of your practice, what's your malpractice going to do? You know, if your son decides to punch another kid at high school, what's your malpractice or what's your insurance general liability?
Maybe in a wrestling match. You know?
Wrestling match, exactly. So your son's into wrestling, I hear.
That's right. Yeah. And that's pretty common. You know, people get a little upset getting pinned and they want to just throw a haymaker, right? I mean, and you wrestled before too, so you understand.
Well, that's personal experience. I had to throw it. No, we don't throw haymakers, you throw cross faces. As long as the elbow stays tight, you're good.
There you go. Yep. There you go. So, you know, with Legal in Mind, because again, you know, you guys have been working with not just dental professionals, a lot of other professionals there, and people don't understand. So again, we understand, like, look, we live in a litigious society. You got to be protected. So how do you guys protect like dental professionals? Yeah,
I think there's like 5 key strategies that you have to understand. The first one I think is just understanding that depending on the asset that you have requires a different type of an entity. So some people think, well, I have a business, so it needs to be an S corporation. Okay, you're probably right, but there might be something for a partnership. So the first one is making sure the right asset for the right entity. The second one I would just say, hey, look, there's a difference between a limited partnership and an LLC. Limited partnerships protect people. Like, they don't going to protect your business. They protect people, and they protect 98% of the guy.
Wow.
So how would you like all of your cash on a table, your investment accounts, your portfolio, whatever, and they can only take 2% of that? So it's like, why am I not doing this? It's fun because I do these presentations from time to time. I talk to people, and they're like, well, I think I'm protected. Do you have one of these? Well, no. And the people that do, I ask them, well, who told you to get a limited partnership? And they'll say, well, my attorney did or my financial advisor.
And why is those two the worst people to ask?
What was that? Say it one more time.
I was going to say, like, if that's where we're getting most of our advice, why is that a bad thing?
No, those are actually great. The point is that they are telling people to get those entities. The problem is only 1% of a room knows it. I mean,
because you know, most likely we're asking people, the guy that we're golfing with, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Or a cousin Joe, right? Like, hey, what should I do? I don't know. I saw this commercial on TV. Or hey, why don't you just go to LegalZoom and just do something there?
Bro, it's like going to LegalZoom or getting advice is like if you do play golf, You don't play golf, but I play golf probably too much. But it's like taking advice from the guy you're playing with rather than the club pro.
There you go.
It's like why? Yes, it's free advice, but it's also shitty advice. So you get what you pay for, right?
And that's one of the things that I just find so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Like you're here at SmileCon, you're meeting a lot of dentists. You're meeting people who are above average intelligence. You can't be a dummy.
Bro,
you can't be a dummy. But yet, when it comes to something as important as this, where it could really affect your livelihood, you're just relying on, hey, the guy that spots me at the gym, or the guy that I play Call of Duty with, he just sent me through the chat. That's what I should do. And I just find that fascinating that intelligent people, and you've presented not just with dentists, but physicians and all these other professionals, you keep on hearing these same things.
Dude, one of the things that you hear that really bothers me more than anything else is because you're really smart at one thing, you think you're smart at everything. I hate to say that, but with all due respect, like when I had my appendix taken out earlier this year, I was camping in a place I didn't want to be, and I went to the ER. Now, when I went to the ER, how many bills did I get, do you think?
How many bills?
I got 4 bills. Why am I paying? I went to one place and I got 4 bills. So I have to pay the emergency room, I have to pay the emergency room physician, I have to pay the surgeon, and I have to pay the anesthesiologist. So when you look at that from a medical perspective, it's the same thing as like dental. If I have something wrong if I need a root canal and it's on a molar, my general dentist will charge me to do the analysis, and then I go to the endodontist to get the root canal, right? Like I've had plenty of them. Right? I've had plenty of root canals. Yeah, don't worry, dentist, you get your money out of me. Okay, but it's like I'm doing all of this work. I think I'm going to the right people. I think the biggest misconception is they're taking like financial advice from, they think they go to their CPA and they're going to tell them to be they think they're a financial planner. They think they are a tax strategist. They think they're a bookkeeper. They think they're everything. It's like, no, that's one financial guy. Yeah. You're probably going to have to pay 3 or 4 in order to really maximize what you're doing. Sorry, but I mean, you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. So going back to Legally Mine and what you guys do. So let's say, for example, someone who's watching it right now, or watching the show right now, they're listening. They're like, okay, Gary, I get it. You're making some sense here. Like, what's the next steps for them? So again, how do people engage and work with you guys? How does that process work?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot of different methods. Like we're here at SmileCon, right? And we're going to do a presentation. I actually just did a presentation at SmileCon. We'll go to local events. So if you are a president of an association or a study club, whatever that is, and you want us to come and speak to your group, they can do that. You can email us. You can email me directly. It's gary@legallymine.com, and I'll just forward you to the right people. The reality is you probably won't work with me directly. That's probably a good thing for you. You're probably going to work with people who are better at what they do than I am. So that's probably the best way to do it. And then if you want to engage in our services, you can always just sign up. But what I encourage people to do is sign up for a webinar, understand what it is that they're getting into.
Wait, hold up. You just said something that was just so counterintuitive when someone's trying to sell something.
I know.
They normally say, hey, sign up for this. I got a sweet deal. And you just led with, look, just get some education.
Bro.
That's so again, let me ask you, is that like a core value with Legally Mine or something?
Yes.
Because that's like totally, because we're in a
sales conference.
We're at a sales conference. We're at SmileCon.
Yeah.
I literally walked by and this lady put this like massage machine. I was like walking as fast as I could. She literally walked with me and gave me this neck massage with this machine, like halfway around the thing.
Did you sign a waiver?
I just asked her. I was like, I mean, I feel like I have to pay extra for this? Literally, I felt like I had to pay some. I feel like I have to, but again, it's so counterintuitive. So is that something that you guys do? It seems like you guys lead with a lot of education.
We do. People don't like to be sold. People like to buy. And the only way that someone can feel confident about their purchase is if they feel like they're educated behind it. I think there's also this, people get paralyzed because they analyze too much. And so they feel like they have to control everything, which I understand that. I'm very over-analytical myself. But the reality is you're only inhibiting your own progress when you feel like you have to control all the pieces on the puzzle. So find someone that you know, like, and trust and say, you know what, okay, it's a leap of faith. I'm going to do this. And so The reality is we have 16,000 clients.
Wow.
A lot of them are, I would say probably half of them are dentists.
Wow.
You know, the other half are physicians and different type of professionals. And so what we do for people, in fact, I should, if I can grab one, but what we do for people is we offer them a guarantee in tax savings. So we're like, hey, look, I know that you're going to pay for this. We want Uncle Sam paying for this thing.
Wait, hold on. So I need you to say that one more time because we're recording this.
Okay, that's
fine. And if someone says that Gary made a guarantee,
that's right.
We want to roll back the clip. We want to go.
Let's roll it back. Right? Yeah, like, throw the red flag.
You know, and then we'll put that. So you said guarantee and tax savings.
So what you do is by implementing the structures that we create for you, they open up tax strategies that are otherwise unavailable to you. What I mean by that is this. If you have an S corporation in your practice, you're only able to use strategies that are underneath an S corporation. If you don't have a partnership, you can't pay your kids without filing a tax return. So you need to create another entity that's taxed as a partnership. We'll show you how to do that so it's actually legit, right? You pay your kids through that, for example, and that opens up a tax strategy. You cannot use the tax strategies for both an S corp and a partnership under one entity. So you have to create two. So the first is make sure you utilize our structure for a year. We will look at your last 2 years of your tax returns, identify what your CPA is already doing versus what they're not. And our tax strategies by tax attorneys, by combing through it, will say, look, you're leaving like $25,000 on the table. Or in some cases, you're leaving like 100,000 plus on the table.
So I'm gonna ask you something here, and I'm not gonna hold you to this.
I mean, you can hold me or hold me to it, whichever one you want.
There you go.
We got purple.
There you go. So
inappropriate.
On average for most of the clients and from what you've seen.
Yeah.
How much are they saving?
So I would say the more time that you put into it, the more you'll save.
Okay.
What I mean by that is we give a preliminary tax estimation. So if you just call us up and you don't send in your last 2 years of tax returns, we'll give you an estimation. Most of the time you're saving around $13,000 to $15,000 if you're a practice owner. Okay. That's just, hey, it's completely hypothetical because I haven't seen any paperwork, but sure, based upon your income and these strategies, we know the percentages. Then the next ones, if you've done some work, you've sent us your last 2 years of tax returns, it's over 25.
Wow.
Like if you're a business owner. Yeah. There's sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes you're going to have to, we will refer you to do some tax strategies that require you to pay an additional fee because the CPA that you'll have to employ will ask for an additional fee. But it's like this. One of the things, if I say I can save you $100,000 in taxes, but you're going to have to pay this guy $30,000.
Yeah, why not?
And you're like, well, how much work do I have to do? It's like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to let us do what we do best, and we're going to help you save money on taxes. Okay, so they do all the work. You keep 70, they take 30, and there's a legal obligation that if the $100,000 doesn't come in, then you're not obligated to pay that 30. So there are strategies that we have where we have people who save well over hundreds, 200 thousands of dollars, but their income justifies it. The amount of tax they're paying justifies it. In the same way that I can't tell you, hey, you're a W-2 employee, you make $60,000 a year, I'm going to save you $20,000 in taxes. No, I'm not. I can't, right? But what if I could save you $5,000? And then over a 10-year period, you're saving $5,000 every year. You just saved $50,000, and because of the tax savings guarantee, you only paid $5,000 for it.
Yeah.
So it's the reason why I like working for this company. I've been here for 7+ years is because they actually back it up. Like I've seen them write checks to people because they didn't fulfill their obligation, but the client also has to fulfill their obligation.
Sure.
Right. So it's a team effort, right? And we'll work with your CPA. We're not saying, hey, you got to work with us for everything. Yeah. We'll work with your CPA.
So you don't. So if you're using your uncle as your CPA, you don't have to fire the guy, right? He can stick around for a little bit.
I mean, that's your choice, really. Like, do you want to keep the guy around who's cost you $30,000 a year? Like, no. The reality is CPAs are not tax strategists.
Yeah.
They're just not. I mean, they're bookkeepers, they are tax preparers, and they give us some tax strategies, but they don't read the tax code like a tax attorney does.
And I think a lot of times whenever people talk about tax strategies, right? Yeah. And again, dentists, we're kind of a scared bunch, right? So again, in dentistry, we always want to see the proof, right? Everything's evidence-based. Like, okay, you're doing a root canal. Some guy 20 years ago came up with the technique, and there's a proof of concept there.
There is.
A lot of times when there's tax strategy, it's kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
I know a dude. Like, I know
Right.
a guy, right? I got the secret. This guy's got the
Secret
secret.
sauce. Yeah.
He's got the secret. You know, you got to do a special handshake, all that stuff, right? So a lot of times dentists are like worried. They're like, okay, well, if I follow what these guys are saying, I'm punching a one-way ticket to like a
Like an audit.
audit, or maybe a extended stay on the state,
Right.
wearing certain pajamas and whatnot,
Right.
So everyone's worried
Orange is
about
not
that.
the new black. We don't want to do that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So again, people are worried about that. So
Yeah.
what do you say for those, and again, I'm sure you hear it all the time.
I do. And I love it. Like the reality is if you were to look at the tax returns that we see coming in, the tax returns that are submitted look like they were submitted by an IRS compliance officer. Like they're not really willing to push the envelope at all. And the people that you can legitimize this off of, like you want to do proof of concept, use the same tax strategies that a politician does. Like, why would a politician create a law that he himself can't benefit from? Number one. And number two, why would he create a law that he would have a high probability of an audit for using? So as soon as you learn how the law actually works, you leverage it, and you leverage the fact that other professionals have done this outside of dentistry, and now you can also leverage it inside of dentistry. Let's be honest. The people that are taxed the most are business owners that are in the middle class. Now, you think about that, there are can you say shit ton on your podcast? Because I'm trying to quantify shit ton. I just don't know how. But you can save so much money in taxes by following the laws, because there are so many codes that benefit small business owners. There's so many. And it's when you go in specific in dentistry, there is even more.
Yeah.
And here's the problem that I find with most dentists is they're saying, well, we're getting the shaft, if you will, by the insurance companies because they don't want to pay us, and they keep lowering what they're going to be on reimbursements. I mean, you're fighting over nickels. You're fighting over a couple of dollars that over time you're talking about thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
But you can use one tax strategy that could save you $20,000 in taxes. Let's just call it $5,000 in taxes. The time that it takes to save money on taxes is much more. Your time spent is much more valuable talking about taxes than it is fighting. And that's why we do fee for service, right? I mean, there's so many people in dentistry going for fee for service because they just are sick of it.
They're tired of fighting it.
They're tired of fighting it. Yeah.
But the cool thing is working with you guys. You guys are, it's kind of like having like that advisor, someone who knows, knows the best places to go eat, right? Like they're their local person there.
Yeah.
So going back to, okay, you led with, look, watch a webinar, right?
Right.
Like, we're not trying to sell you anything. Just look, we just want you to be educated. But let's say, okay, they go through that and they're like, okay, I really want to know, what is it? Again, what's the catch, right? It sounds good. What's the catch, So they go through that and they sign up with your service, and
it's tough to say. Like, I've been in education first. So the company I was with before Legally Mine, I was an educator. I did fitness education. I built that stuff. I'm a huge believer in education. But when the catch, that's a sales word. There's no catch. Like, there's just not.
Yeah.
I wish I could say, here's the catch. Here's the catch. You have to give me 1 hour of your time for the next 4 months. Like, if you don't give me the time, I can't do this. So there's a catch, right?
That's fair.
Like, I can't.
That's fair enough.
There are people who think, well, you're the expert. Why don't you do for me? Because I don't know how many kids you have, and I can't just create a W-2 for you. So you got to give me that. But the other thing is, I would just say there's no catch to anything. The first step is you invest in the money. Then we go ahead and we do a questionnaire. We identify what you have, what your exposure is. And then we say, hey, look, you've already got half of this stuff done. That's fantastic. But what don't you have? Let's create what you don't have. Let's update your trust. Let's create other entities that will support that so that you're not exposed to a lawsuit, right? And they think, well, I already have. The other question I get is, well, I already have most of my work done. Don't worry. You have a lot of I's that haven't been dotted and T's that haven't been crossed because your attorney that set this up is not an asset protection attorney. So anyway, they go through the questionnaire. We then have a sit down. We go through a blueprint. We review what we suggest, and we create for each one of our clients. They're like, hey, that's great. How do I do this? We create all of the entities for you. So the only thing I can't do is I can't open up a bank account for you, right? We do like quick claim deeds. We have all these different documents we need depending on the asset and the entity that it's going into. And then you work with attorneys. You'll have a conversation with an estate planning attorney, an asset protection attorney. Some of us will be able to discuss with you how your flow of money now works. And then you have obviously a tax attorney. So it's not just about taxes. It's not just about asset protection. It's also protecting the family, the ones you love closest to you.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so for those who are watching, like hopefully you guys, it opened your eyes, right? Like you work really hard in your practice, you're doing all the right things, but you only know what you know, right? And sometimes people who are working with and they have good intentions, right? They care about you. They only know what they know, right? So again, here's an opportunity to just figure out where the blind spots are. So again, you talked about a webinar. You can go to the website. What other, I mean, is that the best way? Go to the website and reach out?
There is. Unfortunately, our website, I'm going to be shoot straight with you. The website is not as robust as people would hope. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, there have been some competitors that came into the market that are very small, but they want to replicate what we do. So they're stealing our information. So there is a back end website for our clients that gives them a lot more. But I mean, the majority of the information you're going to get is up front. It's we give everybody a welcome packet that contains all of the information that they need. And because every situation is different, I can't just tell you that this is what it's going to be like for you or for you. I mean, it's just different. And so we've seen so many different cases, whether you're part of a DSO or you're a 1099 employee or you're trying to expand, whatever that is, we can help you. So let's take what you currently have. Let's build what you need right now, and then let's forecast what it would look like, project what it would look like if you did what you're thinking about. I mean, let's be honest, you have people in different lines of industry. You have a plastic surgeon, for example, who has multiple businesses in restaurants, and he has planes and things like that. The only thing that I don't do contracts. So like if you're an associate wanting a contract to work with another dentist or vice versa, I don't do those contracts. Like that's not the type of attorney that we are.
Right.
So I mean, those are some things where you modify, you have to manage the expectation. So I think that might be helpful.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but my ADD is totally kicking in.
Perfectly. But you know what? Before we leave, I want you to.
Do we have? I hate goodbyes, dude. Let's not.
It's not goodbye. It's just see you later. So again, before we log off here, I want you to share a story. Like, just kind of go through all the stories you heard.
Okay.
Share like the most impactful story from a client that worked with you guys. Something that really sticks out.
Can I give you 3?
Sure.
So the first one is earlier this year, we went to the NFL Orthopedic Surgeon Conference in February. 3 weeks previous, the orthopedic surgeon for the Philadelphia Eagles lost a $43.5 million lawsuit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So one of the special teams players, he was also a captain, Chris Maragos, he sued and he won. The jury found for him for $43.5 million. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the case. I'm just going to say that he couldn't play sports, and he lost a $43.5 million lawsuit, okay? I'm going to tell the flip side. My brother, 9 years ago, was struck and killed by a drunk driver on his way to work.
Wow.
Okay, he was making a left-hand turn on his bicycle. He gets hit. So our family, we tried to take care of his kids, so we sued the driver of the vehicle. The driver of the vehicle was unemployed. He hadn't held a job for 5 years, and he was an uninsured motorist. How much do you think we won in that lawsuit?
Nothing.
We won everything the dude was worth. So what really strikes me and really, really, I sit in front of all these professionals and you work so hard for what you get. And the reality is in a flip of a switch, you can lose everything just because of one accident. Our job is to help you look homeless. What can we do to structure your stuff so that nobody wants to sue you? There is no money to be acquired within this lawsuit. The third story I want to share with you is it's a lot different. I had one of our clients in San Antonio, Texas. Her son was in a car accident, and she was in a panic. She calls us up and says, I've just been sued. My son's been in a car accident. I don't know what I'm going to do, in a heavy panic and whatnot. Said, okay, let's figure this out. We looked at it. Within 2 weeks, her name was dropped from the lawsuit because they couldn't get any of the assets that she owns. So son gets an accident. You control the money by putting him in separate entities. She looked homeless in the eyes of the law, but she makes plenty of money. She's just put them into legal structures that protect them. Like if you don't use the structures and you think, I'm not really going to get sued. It's all in my own name. I've got a great savings account. I've got a good investment portfolio. You're up in the night. You're delusional.
Yeah.
Right? So those are my three.
Wow.
You asked for 2, but I gave you 3.
Hey, over-delivered. And you over-delivered here. So guys, if anything, if anything, guys, if you have these blind spots, which we all do, right? And you're working hard, you're doing all the right things, but you only know what you know, right? Again, this is what these guys do. He's not just a dude in a purple suit, right? He's been with them for a long time. We actually have a lot of mutual friends. There's other stories there. We'll definitely have to bring them back.
Yeah.
Preferably, I'm just gonna throw it out there at CE on the beach in Aruba this summer. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Hopefully we'll bring them back on then. But thank you so much, man, for
Anytime.
jumping on. I learned a lot. I don't know. I mean, for those who are fans of that show, Scared Straight, I don't know. I'm kind of scared straight over here. I'm definitely going to talk to him about some of the things that we're doing. But thank you so much for jumping on.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.
I like how your business card says kind of a big deal, by the way.